everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, we could talk about New Year's resolutions if we really wanted to. And we kind of will.
But we got a twist. we got an angle.
I know that's what people show up for, is the TGIA twist at the end, right?
That's right. We're going to tell you why. Yeah, it's like Shyamalan. We're going to tell you why your New Year's resolutions are basically the same as religion.
Oh, boo. I can hear the booing already, Dan.
Skun-dun-dun.
All right. Well,
you'll have to stay tuned to the end to find out how.
But first, there were some things that happened this week, Dan.
Yes.
News
yes, sir.
that we need to talk about and analyze and give our angle on, Dan.
Yeah, it's true.
For example, the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC here in the United States, is suing the famously Christian Grand Canyon University for deceptive advertising and illegal telemarketing.
No.
They also
surely not.
Oh, no, surely yes.
No Christian organization would ever participate in anything deceptive.
No, not at all. The FTC accuses the organization of, quote, deceiving prospective doctoral students about the cost and course requirements of its doctoral programs and about being a nonprofit, while also engaging in deceptive and abusive telemarketing practices, which it turns out it very much is a for-profit institution. About 60% of its revenue goes to the Grand Canyon Education Incorporated organization.
Okay.
Yeah, it has stockholders and so forth and so on. And the GCE, that's the Grand Canyon Education Incorporated, describes the university as a partner in their regulatory filings. And of course, the university is denying what it said were unsubstantiated allegations. And of course, it's going to take all measures necessary to refute them. They say, given the major problems that exist in higher education, it is baffling that the federal government has chosen to target a Christian university that is addressing those issues in very positive ways.
Yes, I'm sure that, of all of the problems in modern American higher education, the solutions are going to come out of the Christian universities for sure.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Apparently fewer than 2% of the school's doctoral program graduates complete the program within the advertised cost. And almost 78% of those students take 5 or more continuation courses. This lawsuit is following a $37.7 million fine on the university by the United States Education Department.
Wow.
Which also was about their misrepresentation of the costs of their doctoral programs.
Wow.
So it's a sham institution. I don't know anything about these doctoral programs, but methinks they're not the most highly respected of such programs in the country, and probably maybe because the quality of the education isn't terribly great. I'm sorry, anybody who has a doctorate from Grand Canyon University,
but come on,
and got a really good
if you have that degree, let's not be obtuse here. You already know.
Apparently it's abusive telemarketing too. It's like, whoa, these people.
Calm down, everybody.
I mean, their ads pop up. I see them. I don't know. Do you get do you watch stuff on the YouTubes?
I don't do a lot of YouTube watching. And what I do, I'm gonna guess nobody in the Google algorithm, which I assume is a small village of people that pay attention to what you're doing and then send you ads. I don't think anyone in their algorithm sees me and thinks, oh, you know what that guy needs is more higher education.
Well, nonetheless, I feel like I have been. I've seen plenty.
You've been targeted
of their ads, and I'm always just like, why? Like, what am I looking at on YouTube that would make it think that this is I want a Christian school.
That you need a Christian school to come in and save you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I feel like it's deceptive all the way down. Like just calling it Grand Canyon University and not mentioning the whole Jesus bit.
Yeah.
That's deceptive too. Shut up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I am going to, there was a recent article came out in Christianity Today, just in time for Christmas. It came out on the 18th of December.
Oh, nice.
And it was about depictions of the nativity. It was about various, but this one's focused on how Asian artists depicted the birth of Jesus.
Okay.
Sounds nice.
That does sound nice.
Now, of course, the title is How Asian Artists Pictured Jesus' Birth from 1240 to today. So they went back
some almost 800 years.
A while.
Yeah.
And it's nice. There's all these, photos of, images of various art through the centuries.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as always happens, the artists sort of depict the events in a way that they understand. So frequently, the scene looks Indonesian or looks, Chinese or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
I've seen these. Yeah.
You paint what you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And, the same thing has happened, obviously the Buddha, who was Indian in origin, we all see most of the Buddha images that we see are Chinese or Japanese, and the Buddha looks Chinese or Japanese because, they adopted his philosophies, and so they're the ones depicting him. So they make him look, and we know, Lord knows, Jesus has definitely been painted in the image of plenty of Europeans. So it seems like fair play to depict Jesus as, whatever you are. Well, no, it ain't to the Christians. The Twitter
to
response,
the white Christians, I'm assuming.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
yeah.
Who are the only real Christians, if you ask them. They're very happy that Jesus is being spread all over the world, but not happy to share him.
No.
Yeah, this is an article in Christianity Today, and so many people are like, blasphemy! People, literally, the Twittersphere, I'm not going to call it X, the Twittersphere is out there just screaming, like, you should change your name to Heresy Today. You have to hate truth to post something so audaciously false. What is the purpose? What is the motive here? There's a whole article attached to these images that's like, talking about this and talking about how people, like, it's nice that people are taking your thing and envisioning themselves in it. That you should be really happy about that, but they don't get that at all.
There's definitely a tradition of creating God or your God in your image, right? Like, it's not the other way around like the Bible seems to claim, right? But like,
well, and I don't know if you've stumbled on the obvious problem with this yet. Jesus was fucking Asian.
Yeah.
The Middle East is part of Asia, you fuckers. Like, Jesus was Asian, literally. So, just geographically speaking.
Right.
So it's pretty funny to see all these people just so so upset about, like, probably those depictions of Jesus are closer to what he really looked like than blonde-haired, blue-eyed,
How dare you? How dare you?
Obi-Wan Kenobi Jesus.
How dare you, Dan?
I know.
Everybody knows Jesus was white.
Jesus was what? Like, even Ken Ham chimed in. Franklin Graham chimed in about this.
Saying what? No, he was Middle Eastern.
Franklin Graham chimed in and said, "Are they trying to cancel the real Jesus?"
Oh,
Many have criticized Christianity Today for their article about artists depicting Jesus as an Asian. And I also have to ask, why? We don't have to wonder or speculate about this. The Bible gives us very specific details about Jesus's earthly lineage. Yeah, guess what? It was Asian, Franklin. Not you, Franklin.
I know. I know who you're directing that at.
I just think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it sort of blows my mind.
It's kind of delightful that how willing they are to jump on this thing, and how breathtakingly oblivious they have to be.
They are fully, wholly convinced that Jesus was white.
They are.
Yeah.
Even if they're willing to say, "Oh yeah, I mean, I know he was a Middle Eastern, blah blah blah." In their minds, they're like, "But yeah, he was like one of those really white Jews." He wasn't one of those dark ones.
Clearly a Northern European Jew.
Yeah,
right.
Like one of those Swedish-looking Jews.
Ashkenazi, is that the? Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. That's what they're holding on to, isn't it?
It's shocking.
Well, Dan.
Yeah.
I have a story about the Navajo Nation and some objections that they have. And I'm
also Jews by Mormon standards.
Yes. And I did kind of want to throw out a little caveat here. Not a caveat, an explanation. I know when like stories of native indigenous groups wanting to protect sort of their sacred lands, I in the past have sort of maybe not been totally fair, right?
Okay.
Because of the word sacred, right?
Yeah.
Where it just, I don't want, don't come to me, right, wanting me to do anything about your sacred thing, right? Your little holy thing. That's whatever. Anyway.
That's your thing.
I've thought about this, and it's been sort of pointed out. There's like, especially with Native American tribes here and indigenous people of North America. Yeah. There's a history here that we maybe requires a little bit more sensitivity. And so I still don't like the word sacred, but if these places are important to you, important cultural sites, I'm more than willing. Like, I think that's great. Let's protect these places, right?
Especially given the history of just absolute erasure of their cultures.
Absolutely.
And whatever. Like, okay, we'll default to you guys.
Right.
We'll, you know what I mean? Like,
but it's for cultural, it's for historical and cultural reasons, right?
Yes.
It's not because you feel like this place is sacred, right?
Yeah. And I don't care about your religion, but I will always err on the side of like
exactly
protecting these people who have been erased by colonialism and stupid.
Now, all of that said, I've got a story here that
okay. Now that we've said that, let's erase it.
This one pushes the limit for me.
Okay.
This is Navajo Nation President Boo Nygren has asked NASA to delay a scheduled launch to the moon.
Okay.
Apparently there's a January 8th launch that's scheduled of the Vulcan Centaur that's going to be carrying the Peregrine Mission 1. The lander will carry some payloads from a company known to provide memorial services by shipping human cremated remains to the moon.
Okay.
And therein lies the problem for the Navajo Nation.
What?
Because apparently back in 98, I want to say, NASA came under fire after the ashes of a former geologist and planetary scientist, Eugene Shoemaker, were sent to the moon. Then Navajo Nation President Albert Hale said the action was a gross insensitivity to the beliefs of many Native Americans.
What?
NASA later apologized and promised to consult the tribes before authorizing any similar missions in the future, which is why...
What the hell is happening
Which
right
is
now?
why the Navajo Nation president right now is asking for a delay. Because the Navajos, and apparently, and he's sort of speaking for sort of broadly for other indigenous groups, he says, let's see, additionally, the Memorandum of Understanding regarding intra-agency coordination and collaboration with the protection of indigenous sacred sites, which he's written this to the Biden administration, which you and several other members of the administration signed in November 2021, underscores the requirement for such consultation. Apparently, there was this letter back in 2000 that was part of this apology that recognized that sacred sites can consist of places that afford views of important areas of land, water, or of the sky and celestial bodies. And so they're saying, we hold the moon to be sacred. We think that sending human remains to it is a desecration of that sacred place. Therefore,
shut up!
You should not be doing this.
You can't. I literally in my brain, I was like, "There's no way he's about to tell me that they think that they get to control what goes to the moon because it's sacred to them."
Yeah. Yep.
Like I kept trying to imagine what this could be.
That's what it is. I'm sorry,
No.
I got it. It took me a while to get there, but yeah, that's what it is.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like again, I want to default to them and to honoring their requests and whatever, but shut up.
I don't think shut up is the right one. I don't think you could say shut up. They're raising their objections. They seem to be sincere objections. Otherwise, why bring this up again 20 some odd years later? Right.
Part of this is just pick your damn battles, man.
Well, yeah, to a certain degree.
This cannot possibly affect these people.
But beyond picking your battles, because I wouldn't want to tell anybody in the position of the the native tribes to pick your battles, right? But I do think that some sort of you got to be reasonable with regard to like it's the fucking moon, right? Like
yeah. None of your ancestors are buried there.
Right.
Nothing important to your people has occurred there.
The moon will still, a moon as an object in the night sky will still be there.
Will remain effectively unchanged.
Right.
From the perspective of someone down here on Earth.
Yeah.
There's no change to the moon.
Right. Just now the knowledge that it's, I mean, I don't know, because you would never know. How would you know? Yeah. How would you know? How is it going to affect your anything? Like, I don't, it must be, it must be functioning in their belief system in a way that we're not getting clearly. And also, and it is
the U.S. is also not the only country that does moon stuff anymore.
That was kind of pointed out in the article. And it's like, And also, here's the deal, right? Of all the things that have happened or that are about to happen on the moon, right? This is their concern,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Wait until you see how we desecrate that thing.
yeah, this is some minor shit, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
This is penny ante bullshit compared to what's about to happen.
we're gonna fucking like destroy that thing from any sort of like, if there's any resource to be had, we are having it. If there's any Coca-Cola ad that can be like displayed on the face of the moon,
projected up to it.
you know, I mean, I can imagine like you could place some really bright lights certain distances from each other and create a nice little LED screen up on the moon.
Oh my God.
That you could like send messages. Happy birthday, Dan.
Yeah, it's a billboard.
So there's gonna be some serious crap, and maybe they're just getting ready for it, and they're like, hey, if we can kind of move the needle a little bit on this, human remains thing, if we can get in the game now on human remains, maybe when the Coca-Cola ad is coming down the pike,
if we can make them nervous that they have to ask us about anything, maybe we'll have some input on something.
I think it's pretty ludicrous.
It's absurd. Come on.
So that again, right. I wanted the long explanation of yes, we do respect, like, protect bears' ears here in Utah.
Yeah.
By all means, right?
Like a burial grounds or whatever.
Absolutely.
I'm on board or whatever. Yeah. Like if an area was sacred to your people, that doesn't mean anything to me, but I want to honor that. But you
don't own the moon.
Ain't none of you ever been to the moon. Nobody, you can't have done anything there. Also, the moon is everybody's. Yeah. We all see the moon.
So we all get to desecrate it.
That's right.
In whatever way.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's going to get to the point where they're going to start divvying up parts of the moon. And this is the part where you can't do anything that these guys are mad about. And this is the part where you can't do anything that these guys are mad about.
I mean, to a certain extent, it is the moon, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe there is a point in like not doing, like, we've got all these asteroids and whatnot that are out there that are all like filled with all sorts of like resources and, it can be mined and whatnot. Like, let's go destroy some meteors, right? but the moon, if we fuck it up, it's just going to be this big blemish in the sky, right?
Yeah.
And so,
but have you met humanity?
No,
we're gonna fuck up the moon.
I know.
It's just guaranteed to happen.
Know. But if it's just some research stations and whatnot, like that is different, right? Like,
yeah.
But if it's up there for like, we're harvesting whatever, that's gonna be a problem. So,
well, we need our light bulbs or whatever. Anyway, I'm going to take us off of the moon and into Alabama, where some controversy has arisen. It doesn't seem like it should be controversial. It's just some local schools, Southside High and Rainbow Middle School. I feel like they should change that, Rainbow Middle School. That sounds pretty gay. But these two, I'm getting in the character of Alabama, so let me just be there.
Brace yourself, everyone.
They just reached out to some local churches to say, hey, do you want to buy our wrestlers some snacks?
Oh,
our wrestlers, they drink a lot of water. Apparently, they want bottled water. Apparently, the water fountains aren't good enough for them.
Wow. Okay.
And they can use some granola bars. They can use some sports drinks, or
yeah.
They list Uncrustables, which are those sort of pre-made sandwiches where they've already cut the crust off, which feels like
they've got some really delicate little wrestlers.
Are these high schoolers or are they 4-year-olds? I'm not sure. Anywho, trail mix, they're saying. So they have close to 50 wrestlers.
Oh, wow.
Between the two schools, the middle school and the high school. So
yeah, okay.
That's a lot of hungry mouths to feed, apparently.
Gets expensive. Yeah.
And they're just reaching out to the community in the form of the churches. And all of that is a little weird to me, but I don't have any particular objection to reaching out to the churches and saying, "Hey, do you want to donate some food?" to the wrestlers.
Okay, that's fine.
The problem is the quid that they're offering for the quo. If this is something, so they say, we would like to give the churches who are able to donate a chance to speak into the lives of the students on our team by sharing a short 15-minute devotional. We are very excited about this opportunity again this year. We really enjoyed it last year. We look forward to connecting with you this way. So, obviously, the red flags are up. The alarm bells are sounded. Someone in the community contacted some out-of-state atheist group.
Oh, no.
The FUFERF got involved.
Oh, yay.
Of course, they don't talk about the fact that someone in the community contacted them. What they talk about is just out-of-state groups trying to push faith out of our lives and the lives of our children.
Right.
Which was a direct quote from State Senator Greg Reed.
Oh, great.
Who is shocked and dismayed that in this time, this week we are celebrating the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That should be our focus.
But instead, these horrible atheists. I mean, Dan, this is when you need the Satanic Temple to come swooping in.
Well,
right?
yeah,
to set up shop and be like, hey, we've got some granola bars and some sports drink.
Yep.
Here you go, guys. And guess what? We have a nice little message for you.
We got a message for you and everything. Something tells me they didn't reach out to the TST. So yeah, I mean, this almost gets repetitive at some point. I you know what I mean? Like, I try to avoid doing too many of these kinds of stories because it's just so painful and so obviously stupid.
Yeah.
But this is our country. We gotta
and boys, are a good one, Dan. It's a fine one. Yeah. Fine country.
Greatest country in the world. America.
I mean, we tolerate Alabama, so we must be pretty amazing, right?
I don't feel like I tolerate it. I have not done a good job of tolerating Alabama. Although when we were there 10 years ago or whenever it was, we met some lovely people.
Yeah, for sure.
Who were dismayed about Alabama, but that's okay. They were great.
Absolutely. Well, all right, Dan. I've got a story from over there in Scotland.
Ooh.
Where there seems to be something of a fire sale going on of old churches.
What?
The Church of Scotland. That's right. The official Church of Scotland, the once powerful Church of Scotland, is getting rid of hundreds of churches, manses, halls, and cottages that they'll be dispensing with over the next 5 years as it continues to face sort of the new reality of
nobody believing
of a more secular Scotland. The article that caught my attention talks about one specific church in let's see, it's called Morham Church.
I like
Morham, maybe, I don't know. Where it was once the family church of the Dalrymples.
Okay.
And so there's because of that, there's family remains, right?
Okay,
so there's
sure.
a crypt there for the Dalrymples.
You buy the church, you get some Dalrymples along with you.
There, amongst the remains are those of Sir David Dalrymple.
Sure.
He was the Lord Advocate who oversaw the union of Scotland's Parliament with Westminster in 1707. And his grandson, Lord Hales, who was an eminent historian. Those remains are in there. And
This all sounds great.
Adam Ferguson, he's a former Conservative member of the European Parliament. They're no longer part of Europe anymore. But anyway, he descended from the Dalrymples, and he is taking the church to court in February unless it drops its plans to disinter his ancestors and have the remains cremated to clear the way for the sale. Right.
Interesting.
So they're actually, in a way, the church is like trying to like ensure that these remains are sort of, disposed of appropriately. Right.
And
respectfully.
Respectfully. Because if it's just some dude that buys your thing and then, what you don't want is for your loved ones, for your ancestors to be disposed of via bulldozer.
Yeah. And the dump. Right.
Yeah.
He feels like the coffins should stay in the church as their final resting place.
I love both ideas. I really do want to buy it. I am on record as wanting to buy a church anyway.
Well, Dan,
really want one.
Dan, they on let's see, churchofscotland.org.uk.
Okay.
There is there's a properties for sale link. And I found a lovely little church. It's Ardchatton Church in Ardchadba, North Conwell, Argyll.
Been there many times.
Yeah, it's, let's see, they describe it as located in a picturesque setting on the banks of Loch Etive.
Okay.
The church occupies an elevated site with outstanding views over the loch. There's a picture here. It is adorable. You get a little cemetery. I clicked at on the property brochure and looked inside. It's adorable. It's a nice little country church. £50,000 is what they.
What?
The offers. They're looking for offers over £50,000.
Shut up and take my money.
There are more expensive properties listed. I mean, this one, with real estate, it's location. And
Sure.
This one isn't really close to much. I think they described, let's see, the town. Nearby Connell Village is a thriving community offering a broad range of facilities, including a primary school with 11 pupils.
Whoa.
There's a doctor's.
Calm down,
Scotland. Doctor's office, a post office / village shop.
Okay.
And there's bus routes. There's some other things the other towns that it is near to, which sounds slightly more populated. But this is out in the middle of effing nowhere, but it is just picturesque.
I want it. I want it. And here's the thing. I want one of the ones that has buried. I want the one that has the buried famous people.
Oh no, that's gonna be more expensive. That's gonna be more expensive.
Well, and I'll tell you why. There's a line from The Pirates of Penzance by Gilbert and Sullivan.
Yeah.
Where the major general is in. He's positively apoplectic because he has disgraced his ancestors because he lied about something.
Oh, okay.
And then one of his daughters says, "But I assume this is in the play. This is in the movie version of it."
Okay.
Anyway, he says, his daughter says, "You forget, Papa, we only moved into this place a few years ago. These people were here when we got here." And he said, "Yes, I don't know whose ancestors they were, but I know whose ancestors they are, and I shudder to think of how I've shamed them. So I say, if you buy the church and the burial the people are on the property, those, I don't know whose ancestors they were, but they're yours now. You bought them fair and square.
All right. Fair enough. No, so this the big sell-off of all these churches is happening due to, as one would expect, a lack of need. They've
right.
In 1982, the Church of Scotland had nearly 920,000 members. Last year, that number came in at 270,000.
Oh,
that's a 70% decline. The average age of its congregants is now 62, and they only have about 60,000 people worship in person.
Yeah. In 20 years, they will have 0.
Yeah. And this is not just an issue, obviously, for the Church of Scotland. The Catholic Church is facing a similar issue. In 1982, the Catholic Church conducted 4,870 marriages and had 273 men training to be priests. In 2021, there were just 812 Catholic marriages with only 12 seminarians in training. And it's only this year, it only attracted 2 new seminarians, and it no longer trains priests in Scotland. And this year sold off its most famous seminary in Rome, the Pontifical Scots College, moving that into another institution. So Scotland is undergoing a dramatic demographic shift, religiously speaking. Yeah, they don't need all these old churches anymore. But here's the deal, and it's something that people are lamenting, and I do think it's a real issue, which is these churches are part of the landscape, effectively, right? They're part of these towns. They're landmarks, right?
Right.
And I don't know how much it's, as the country secularizes, how much people are going to feel that those churches are part of their identity, right? But they're definitely part of Scotland, right?
They're part of the cultural landscape, the cultural identity.
And so people are concerned about their preservation.
Good coffee shops.
They're good coffee shops. They're good whatevers, right? And
bars, turn it into a pub. It's fine.
Well,
keep the building.
This specific listing, right, was talking about how the property is zoned, right? And how, by right, it could be a daycare, an educational establishment, a museum, an art gallery, a public library, right? There's all these things that it could just be by right. And then other things that would require a little bit of
rezoning or whatever.
Not rezoning, but maybe it's more of a conditional use, right? So you'd have to go through a little bit of process to be approved, but a theater or entertainment venue, a hospitality or restaurant, retail space. And they say that it probably could be, converted to residential. I mean, it's a fairly large building, but go for it. But again, it points out you'd have to go through the local process and everything. But these buildings need to be saved, from my perspective.
I love a good little, parish church.
Yeah.
They can be adorable. Not Mormon ones. Mormon
ones. Unless it's legitimately one of the older ones where they still cared, right?
Yeah.
The new Motel 6 style ones, just rip them out.
Yeah.
Rip them. You don't need it anymore. Tear it down.
Which is the official position of the Mormon Church anyway.
Interestingly enough. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so there you go. All right. Well, I'm going to close us off. Speaking of Mormons, I'm bringing us back to the state of Utah.
Nice.
Now, I don't know if you've been in this situation. I've been in many a situation where, you're on a plane, you're making small talk with the person sitting next to you. I try not to, but sometimes it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, "Where are you from?" And you tell them Utah. And then something about Mormonism comes up, whether
Sure.
it's like, and frequently it's just like, man, isn't everybody Mormon there? Usually it starts with, "Are you Mormon?" And
Oh, wow.
which is rude. You
Yeah.
don't just ask a stranger their religion, but then they they usually get to, "Isn't it super Mormon there?" And here's the thing. I normally would just say, well, depends on where you go. Salt Lake
Right.
City is actually not as Mormon, but most of the state is pretty Mormon. And I would often offer figures. My figures are out of date because I haven't really looked into it much. So, I just go with whatever the last figures I saw. I'm curious what you would say the figures are for the Mormon population of Utah.
Of Utah, broadly. I know. So I know, like, I always sort of lead with the fact that the city, Salt Lake City proper is like next to not Mormon at all anymore, right? Like 20, 30%, like I think is some numbers I think I've heard. But statewide, I would say because I know there's been this like massive drop off, I would say between 60 and 70% at this point, which is a significant drop from what it used to be.
Yeah. I think I get where you're coming from. Your mind's about to be fucking blown because my mind was blown. Now, mind you,
all right.
Back in like as recently as 1990, which isn't that recent, but it's not too far back. The population, the Mormon population of Utah was 77%.
Okay.
For the full state.
Maybe that's kind of where I'm getting that sense. Okay.
Or at least that was, but that was according to the church's figures. And actually there was a National Survey of Religious Identification that when self-reported, it was actually down at 69%. So that's an 8-point gap between those two things.
All right.
The church only claims 60% of Utahns.
Really?
That's
the most inflated possible number.
Right. They're counting people who are dead but haven't been reported dead to the church yet. Like they count people until they're like, I think 120 or something. That's when they stop counting the person. Literally, I think that's true.
Right. Okay. Great.
Anyway, and anybody that hasn't gone through the trouble of officially removing their names from their books,
right,
is being counted.
Which I've always figured they probably are still counting us, but anyway,
they may well do. Right. I don't know.
It's just a sneaking suspicion, just knowing how like nuts they are about their numbers.
Yeah. But that 60% is still very high. Okay. According to a new study published in the Journal of Religion and Demography.
Ooh, okay.
Mormons make up 42% of the population of Utah.
So okay, wait. So is this self-reported or?
This is self-reported.
Okay.
This is people
who are
adults who claim.
You ask them what their religion is, and they say they're Mormon. But
42%.
Not all those people are going to church every Sunday.
No,
because they're just sort of culturally Mormon.
Yeah, plenty of people
ready
who
to
aren't
disassociate themselves.
Actively involving themselves. Would still say Mormon.
That means what? Like maybe 30% would be like kind of a real Mormon.
Attending and
attending enough, and and like still sort of engaged. Maybe a little higher than that. Maybe more like 35, but still like a third. Yeah. They're only a third of the state.
Guys,
that's more like my Salt Lake City numbers.
I know. I don't know. I mean, I think it's clear from our responses that like how shocking this is. I know that anywhere else, if you had 42% of your population was Mormon, you'd all be like, "This is too many Mormons." Because like anywhere else in the universe, that is way too many Mormons, and even here, it's still way too many Mormons. But holy shit, 42% is a shockingly low figure.
Golly.
Especially considering that, like, probably 98% of our state legislature is Mormon.
Yeah, it is. It's over 90. I don't think it's 98, but it is over 90%.
Like the outsized representation is.
We need to get to work on that.
Yeah.
Because if they're not like, okay, I know this state has been gerrymandered to hell, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think they could possibly maintain their numbers if like the non-Mormons in this state know about this fact, know this number, and go, what? Yeah. Wait a second. Like, I have a chance as a non-Mormon running for office. I think that's mainly out in the suburbs. People just don't run because they don't think they can.
Yeah.
People don't get involved because they're like, yeah, because it's just the Mormons running everything. It doesn't have to be that way.
Like, that is the sense that everyone in the state has. It's just like, if you're not Mormon, you're not going to get anywhere.
But if they're basically only, it's achievable. It's totally doable. In a lot more places, it should not be 90% of our state legislature is Mormon.
Right. Absolutely not.
Whoa. And statewide office, I mean, we should be able to get like a non-Mormon, if all the non-Mormons teamed up, we could have a non-Mormon governor.
Yeah. Unfortunately, non-Mormon is not exactly a voting bloc.
No, it's not. We're pretty messed up little. Yeah. Well, and also so many of the non-Mormons are Republican. Like, it is a conservative place regardless of the church's involvement. But that number is
stunning.
It changes my view of the state.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I literally texted. So those of you listening, I literally texted Frank earlier this week to say, hey, I'm claiming this story and don't fucking read it. If you see it anywhere, don't look at it. I want to know your real reaction to this.
Yeah. Wow. Huh. All right.
Crazy. Well, friends, if you would like to comment on this or any of our stories, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Well, Frank,
Dan,
I have to admit, I am starting to side with the demons. I wasn't aware, growing up, I was afraid of demons. I was made to be afraid of demons.
Sure.
And stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to realize they may be the good guys. The demons I think are the good guys. And we were told wrong. Here's Lance Wallnow, just a peach of a fella, talking about the people who oppose Donald Trump. Let's see what he has to say.
Oh, okay.
There's an interesting verse. We have a spiritual audience out there in Flashpoint, and it refers to when Satan takes people captive at will. What you're looking at in media and on the left is a situation where people are beyond the point of rational, objective discourse. Because there's a number of people that are actually turning in their opinion of Trump. The African Americans male, for instance, population has gone up to 26%, shifting towards Trump. So there's a number of people that no matter what kind of propaganda has been bombarding them, are still able to think. But there is a group of people, and you'll hear them in the political class, and you'll hear them in the media, and you'll hear them frequently in academia. Honestly, Gene, they are taken captive at will. And this is the language we have in the New Testament of people who have lost the objective faculty use of their mind and have it kind of seized with a kind of narrative and perspective that overrules their own judgment. And now an idea has them. They don't have an idea. You're going to see this increasing for the next year, unlike 2020. The rhetoric, the emotion, and the degree of bizarreness is going to start to manifest. And we're going to have to be really held back by the fruit of the Spirit of self-control, because we're going to be in the presence of demons talking through people.
There you go.
Wow.
A guy who believes in evil magic fairies who can control your thoughts is saying that people on the left are bad at thinking.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it makes sense to him, you know?
Yeah. I mean, everybody who disagrees with me is evil is a pretty easy position to take. And then you don't have to challenge your own thoughts at all, ever.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And then you can actually like feel like you have empathy for all these poor people. They're just demon possessed.
I don't know. He didn't sound remotely empathetic at all about the demon
he's
possession.
not even. Wait, what, Dan?
He doesn't like. He's not. Yeah. Wouldn't that be amazing if at least they were like, "Oh, I do feel bad for them. They're demon possessed." No, they don't even have that going for them. It's just, you're evil.
Yeah.
You got it.
Just write
There's
him
also this other thing of like, if the demons can take possession of people at will, why don't they do it to everybody?
Right. How does he know he's not demon possessed?
Yeah. How can you tell who's on which side? It's just such a dumb theology. Your theology's dumb, Walnow. Do better.
Oh, poor guy. Poor guy.
All right. Well, we have some people to thank and some people, somebody wrote into us. So I'm just going to, this is from our friend of the show, Taru from Finland. Taru says, "Hey, Frank and Dan, thank you for another year of TGIA.
Oh.
You're an absolute delight to listen to, and I look forward to each episode and diary discussion. Aw.
That's really nice.
Please give my kindest regards to your cast of co-hosts, too."
Oh, that's really sweet.
So, yeah, that's, thank you so much, Taru, for that. And I hope everyone has a lovely New Year's celebration.
Yeah, we're going to have a great one.
Yeah, we're going to have an awesome one. We have some folks to thank. I'm going to launch us in with Shane, who is now a deacon in the TGIA priesthood. So thank you so much, Shane.
Well, thank you
for your one-time contribution.
That's awesome.
And I believe you have some people to thank as well.
I do indeed, Dan. There's a new patron over on Patreon by the name of Lauren, who signed up at the teacher level. So, Teacher Lauren, welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Lauren. That's amazing.
It is indeed. And if you'd like to join Lauren and Shane in supporting the show, you can do so. It's really quite simple. You just go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and click on the support tab. And we would so appreciate the financial help in putting the show together. As always, Dan, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
More show coming up. All right, listen, Frank. This is the time of year when everybody's like, "Hey, we're gonna do resolutions now."
Right. It's a good time of year for it. You know,
and
one thing's coming to a close. The year is coming to a close, and it just feels like a time to like consider and ponder, you know, where we've been, where we're going. Right?
I'm all for a time of year, just sort of, you know, pick a random thing, because it is relatively arbitrary to just say we're going to all do this at this time of year or whatever. But fine, pick a time of year. Think about things that you want, ways that you want to better yourself or whatever. Okay, I'm fine if you do it. But there's also this sense to me, and this is what got me thinking about this, where we're going to go with this conversation.
Okay.
I'm fucking incapable of it.
Oh.
Whatever it is in me, the combination of my ADHD and whatever, I can't do resolutions. I've tried a couple times, and literally, it is gone from my head the next day.
Oh.
And it doesn't matter how many times I like remind myself and recommit. I'm just not capable of it.
What about Post-it notes, Dan? Have you put Post-it notes like everywhere? They're
Thank you for demonstrating what happens when someone says I'm not capable of a thing, and then everybody's like, well, but you have to do the thing, so let's figure out how to fix it first.
Because it's really important, Dan.
Yeah.
Resolutions, New Year's resolutions are so important.
Yeah.
They are like, I don't know how we get anything done in like
If you
as far
don't
as
have
like
them.
bettering ourselves, self-improvement, weight loss, gym attendance.
Yeah.
None of these things would ever happen without New Year's resolutions, Dan.
Yeah, none of those things are really self-improvement either, but let's not get into that. That would be a whole kettle of fish.
Whatever, Dan.
Anyway, what I did want to talk about was this idea that what works for me and what has been revolutionary for my life should be immediately and completely exportable to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think most
true.
people don't take it to extremes, but it's amazing how often as human beings, we get caught up in that thinking, in this idea. And, I think it's most obvious in religion. I think it's most obvious that like, Christianity is working out great for me, whether it is or not. I've convinced myself that it is. And so everybody needs this. This has to happen for everybody. It's the universal answer. But it's not just that. And here's the thing. That's one of the problems with living in a culture that believes that so dominantly.
Okay.
Is that it becomes, even when you leave the Christianity, people get real proselyte about a lot of different things.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I don't even want to name them because there's some of them that are so obvious and they get picked on a lot for sort of proselytizing or at least bringing up their thing a lot.
Sure.
I don't want to name names. I'm not going to name names.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about CrossFit or vegans. What we're talking about is a bigger problem, and it's a thing that happens like to a lot of atheists. Like I've met a lot of people who who feel like they've got something figured out. Like holy shit, and it was revolutionary to their lives. And they start preaching the shit out of it, and it's not just it's like I'm also thinking about people who find Buddhist meditation or yoga, or they find, sound baths or whatever it is for them.
Yeah.
And great. You had a positive experience with that. I love that for you. What a wonderful thing. Please, we need to start learning that like human beings aren't a monolith, and something that works amazing for you may be bullshit for someone else, maybe like painful or shitty for someone else, and we shouldn't be pushing it on people. But at least not as an answer. Like we can say, hey, this worked great for me. But so much of our lives are centered around this worked great for me. It will therefore work great for you.
Right.
And I just think that that's it's a shame that we haven't that we're not better versed in this worked great for me, and I'm fine with it if it doesn't work great for you.
Oh, Dan. But we can make fun of these people though, right? The ones that have found their thing. Like that's Yeah, okay, good.
I mean, here's the thing. I love it when somebody finds something that works really well for them. I think that that's fantastic. I just think it's so weird that people, how eager everyone is And that's, I mean, look, we understand where a lot of this comes from, right? We are social creatures. We seek community in a lot of things that we do. It feels validating to have other people enjoy the things that we enjoy. There's a whole plethora of reasons why this behavior happens. But oh my God, stop it.
Well, but it's like when you, so, I mean, we should have some sort of, I don't know, empathy or whatnot for people who have found something that like changed their life. Like that's huge, right?
Totally.
Like something as simple as, although it is hard to do, going vegetarian, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I was vegetarian for a while and, huh?
I said you were.
Yes.
I'm agreeing.
Oh, I thought you were like, you were? And I'm like, Dan, come on. Yes, I was.
I was there. I remember.
But you feel so good about the choice, but also like there's this moment of like, you know, where you're adjusting to like this new diet that, you know, you're not eating a lot of crap, right? So you feel good. You feel really good. And you're like, my God, like people need to fucking know about this, right? And I get it, right? Like it's easy to get into that mindset of like, Jesus Christ, like who else can I tell about this? Because it's fucking amazing.
Well,
right?
and you want the people that you love to have things that have been helpful for you.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's an altruistic, good position to be in. Like that's a kind thing,
right?
But then people get pushy, and people get people get upset when they're when someone doesn't take their advice or just says that doesn't sound like it's for me or whatever. Like people can get very hurt by that,
right? And
it's just funny. It's funny. And I guess maybe part of the problem is just that part of my passion about this particular subject is because I've had so many people try to push my square peg into their round hole and then get upset with me that it doesn't work.
Right.
My whole life has been me not fitting into various prescribed boxes. And so like I don't think like school didn't work for me.
Sure.
And like all of these things that's supposed to work for you.
Right.
And that when you fail at, everybody goes, uh-oh.
Yeah.
You're bad.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like that can be very hurtful. So when people start to say like, do your New Year's resolutions. I don't respect people who don't do who don't set goals or whatever. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
That works for you. I'm glad it works for you. Shut up.
Okay. So note to self, scratch. There was an activity we were going to do at New Year's, but I guess that's canceled.
That's right.
Yeah.
You take that right off the list. Don't you dare.
I'm having Dan and a few other people over for dinner on New Year's. And I was planning on, instead of like dessert, a really nice treat would be for us to hear each other's New Year's resolutions. But
but now I've ruined it.
You've totally, thank you, Dan.
I've cast yet another shadow over a perfectly lovely event.
Not even. No, I would never do that in a million years. Just like we don't go around the table at Thanksgiving and say what we're thankful for.
What we're thankful for.
Good Lord, no. No way.
I'm thankful for the same shit as last year. Amen. All right. Well, it's now that I have been so passionate, I'm sure that everyone is ready to either say thank you. I've never heard that articulated in that way before, or far more likely, shut up, Dan. So if you would like to say,
probably a lot of shut up, Dan going on right now.
I know
people like their resolutions.
I'm saying have your resolutions. That's great. I never said
Dan
don't
just
have
doesn't
resolutions.
want to hear about them. That's what this whole thing was about.
Yeah,
just keep it to yourself.
Something like that. Anyway, if you'd like to write into us, please feel free to do so. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click that like button.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, they're great online communities. You can do so by going to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members only.
Thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.